this moment, I'm sitting there going, no, keep one lot, sell the rest. No, sell the whole thing and get out of here.
The heavy courtroom doors creaked open as a woman stepped through the side entrance, her wide-brimmed hat casting shadows over her face. The sound of her heels echoed with haunting calm as she walked with unwavering purpose. The audience buzzed, quiet whispers rippling through the room like a sudden wind. And then, silence. Robyn Brown's face turned ashen. Her fingers clenched the armrests of her chair, knuckles white, lips trembling. Christine's lawyer stood with poise and announced, "Clearly, Your Honor, this is our surprise witness." Gasps filled the courtroom like a wave crashing against rock. Slowly, the mysterious woman removed her hat. The breath seemed to leave the room. It was Gwen Brown, the daughter of Christine and Kody. Once outspoken, now a storm of silence. Estranged from her father, emotionally distant from Robyn, and absent from the chaos that had plagued the Brown family for years. And now, here she was, choosing the courtroom as the place to speak her truth. Kody blinked in disbelief. The last conversation he had with Gwen ended with 5 words that haunted him. "I don't trust you anymore." He never thought she'd follow through. But this wasn't just a conversation. It was war. What had started as a dry legal case about property and custody was now spiraling into a deep exposé of greed, betrayal, and deception. A ticking time bomb of secrets, buried beneath the ashes of a crumbling family, and Gwen held the match. The courtroom was frozen in time. Not a cough, not a rustle, only the hum of tension so thick it choked the air. Gwen approached the witness stand, her fingers lightly trembling as she adjusted the microphone. But her eyes, no longer soft or forgiving, were sharp, focused, and burning with a purpose she couldn't ignore. Judge Madison leaned forward. "Miss Brown, please state your relationship to the parties in this case." Gwen nodded, her voice firm. "I'm Gwen Brown, daughter of Christine and Kody Brown. Robyn has been my stepmother for over a decade." There was a flicker of pain in her voice, but she didn't let it hold her back. Christine sat motionless, stunned. She hadn't known Gwen would be testifying today. Her daughter had shown up that morning holding a small folder and fighting. Back tears. "You don't have to do this," Christine had whispered. But Gwen had simply shaken her head. "I do. Not just for you. For all of us." Now, standing tall before the court, Gwen lifted that same folder in both hands. "The documents have already been submitted to the court," she said, "but I'd like to explain how I found them." She opened the folder and began. 2 years ago, I worked part-time as my father's assistant. I helped organize family paperwork, legal documents, receipts, old bills. He didn't trust digital systems, so we stored everything in boxes, paper trails everywhere. She pulled out the first sheet. "This," she said, "is a signed withdrawal authorization from the Brown Family Trust, dated exactly 1 week before my mom announced she was leaving." She paused, then continued. "The amount withdrawn? $120,000, sent directly to a private LLC in Robyn's name." A loud gasp erupted. Kody's body stiffened, his face flushed crimson. Robyn's hand shot to his arm, gripping tightly. Christine's eyes widened, her suspicion suddenly screaming with validation. Gwen didn't slow down. "Here's another." Dated 5 days later, $65,000 transferred from the Flagstaff property equity, again into Robyn's LLC. My mother had no knowledge of this. None of the wives did. When I asked Dad what it was for, he told me, "It's for Robyn's kids. You don't need to worry about it." Her voice cracked slightly, but she pressed on. Then she pulled out a USB drive. "I accidentally recorded a phone call," she admitted. "I had left my phone recording during a call between Dad and Robyn. They thought I wasn't around. In that call, they discussed how to block Christine from any future profits from Coyote Pass, and how to move more funds before the other wives caught on." Gwen's eyes locked on the judge. Robyn's exact words were, "Move it now, before anyone starts asking questions." Robyn shot to her feet.
Unfair question, because you don't have any idea what work she has done, what she has done as a person, the sacrifices.
Her feet. "That's a lie!" she shouted. The judge slammed his gavel. "Mrs. Brown, sit down. You will not speak unless addressed." Robyn dropped into her seat, tears clinging to her lashes. Kody sat perfectly still, his jaw so tight it looked like it might shatter. Gwen turned and faced him directly, for the first time since arriving. Her voice was steady, but her words hit like thunder. "I loved you," she said quietly. "I believed in you. I thought you were overwhelmed, not malicious. But then I saw the truth. The documents, the recordings, and I realized you didn't just betray my mom, you betrayed all of us." The courtroom was stunned. Christine wept silently, her hand covering her mouth. Janelle across the aisle dropped her face into her palms, trying to hold it together. The judge leaned back, clearly shaken. "Miss Brown," he said gravely, "your testimony has raised serious financial concerns. I am ordering a full forensic audit based on these materials. But before we proceed to cross-examination, do you have anything further to add?" Gwen nodded once. Then she pulled out one final sheet of paper. "This is a check," she said, "made out to Robyn Brown for $40,000. The memo says consulting fee." She glanced toward her mother. "That money came from the shared construction account, the one all the wives paid into to help build homes on Coyote Pass. But there was no consulting, no construction. That property still sits empty. That money is gone." The judge raised an eyebrow and looked straight at Robyn. "Mrs. Brown, you and Mr. Brown will be required to answer for these financial activities, under oath. Misuse of marital property is a very serious matter in this court." Christine's lawyer stood, voice sharp. "Your Honor, this is a pattern, one of calculated deception, financial fraud, and asset concealment that spans years." And in that moment, the courtroom didn't just see Gwen as a daughter. They saw her as a truth teller, a witness to the destruction of a family once held up as a reality TV dream. The secrets were no longer buried. Gwen had dug them out, one by one. And now, there was no turning back.
He led me to believe that he would work on things by saying, "Oh, Mary, when we move to Flagstaff, this will be a good time to have a new beginning for us."
The courtroom air turned electric. Gwen's testimony had lit a match, but the judge's next words set the whole courtroom ablaze. "We are respectfully requesting an emergency freeze on all LLCs and assets in the names of Robyn and Kody Brown, pending financial investigation." The judge didn't hesitate. "So ordered." Gasps flooded the gallery as the bailiff moved swiftly toward the bench to secure documentation. Robyn froze, her hand stretched instinctively toward Kody, trembling, with fear. But he didn't meet her touch. His hand slipped away. His face remained cold, unreadable, locked in place like stone. Gwen eased back in her chair, her voice now quiet, her body drained. But something fierce had settled in her eyes. She had spoken the truth, and for the first time, she knew. The world was listening. Christine slowly rose, walking toward her. "Daughter." No words passed between them, no dramatic gestures, just a raw, silent hug. Two women, a mother and daughter, locked in shared pain, bonded by betrayal, finally able to breathe. From across the courtroom, Robyn sat and watched. Her tears were no longer falling. Her expression had shifted, not devastated but calculating. The realization clawed at her gut. If Gwen knows this much, what else is she holding back? But the reckoning wasn't over. It was now Robyn's turn to testify. She rose shakily, her designer blazer perfectly tailored, her makeup untouched, but her nerves betrayed her. She cast a single glance toward Kody, perhaps searching for reassurance, maybe even protection. But he didn't look up. He hadn't looked at her once since the judge issued the asset freeze. She was on her own now. With a shaky hand placed on the Bible, she whispered, "I do." The storm within her was no longer invisible. Christine's attorney approached with quiet intensity. Her tone was calm but laced with venom, each word a scalpel. "Mrs. Brown," she began, "you're familiar with the joint family trust formed in 2013, correct?" Robyn nodded. Yes. And this trust was created to provide equal financial access and legal protection for all 4 wives involved at the time? Yes. That was the intention, Robyn replied, voice cracking. And yet, months before Christine's departure, you and Mr. Brown formed a private LLC and moved family assets into it without informing the other wives, correct? Robyn blinked rapidly. It was a precaution. Things were falling apart. We didn't know what Christine might do. The attorney didn't blink. So you and Mr. Brown withdrew $185,000 from the joint accounts and deposited it into a personal business account under your name? It wasn't just mine, Robyn whispered. Kody had access, but none of the other wives did? Robyn hesitated, then finally, no. A murmur rippled through the room. Christine's lawyer walked to the evidence table and held up the $40,000 check Gwen had introduced earlier. You recognize this, Mrs. Brown? Robyn nodded stiffly. Yes, it was labeled a consulting fee. And you paid yourself this fee from the family's construction account, which the other wives contributed to? It was for legal strategy. We were trying to do what? The lawyer cut in. Figure out how to keep the money away from Christine? Robyn's lips parted, but no words came. Yes or no, Mrs. Brown? Yes, she said finally, voice barely audible. The room was silent, but the tension roared like thunder. Christine sat still, her fingers folded in her lap like she was holding herself together. Behind her, Janelle stood, arms crossed, her expression unreadable but fierce. Robyn tried to explain. It wasn't theft, it was damage control. Kody told me we needed to act fast, that if we didn't, we'd lose everything. He said he deserved to protect what he'd built. So Mr. Brown encouraged you to hide money from the other wives and their children? He didn't say hide, Robyn whispered. He said reposition, for safety. And did you or did you not forge an income statement to get a loan using family property? Robyn's eyes widened, her breath caught. She turned to Kody, but he wouldn't meet her gaze. I didn't sign the papers. Kody did, she stammered. So now you're accusing your husband of fraud? No, I'm just saying. He handled the paperwork. The attorney pressed again. Did you benefit from that loan? Yes. Did Christine know about it? No. Did you ever intend to tell her? Silence. Then, Christine's lawyer pulled out a final piece of evidence. Your Honor, we'd like to introduce a transcript filed last night. A recorded phone conversation between Robyn Brown and Mary Brown, taped with Mary's permission 3 months after Christine left Flagstaff. Robyn's head jerked up. That call was private. The judge remained calm. If one party consents, Mrs. Brown, the recording is admissible. The recording began to play. Robyn's voice filled the courtroom. I know Christine's upset, but she doesn't deserve the land. She left. She gave up. I told Kody to move everything we can now before she gets clever. Mary replied, That doesn't sound fair, Robyn. And Robyn's response, cold and sharp. It's not about fair anymore. It's about surviving. She made her bed. Let her lie in it. The final words hit like a hammer. Christine didn't move. Her face was unreadable. Kody stared at the table, his shoulders stiff, his hands clenched. The judge turned to Robyn. Is that your voice on the call? Robyn nodded. Yes. Do you stand by those words? She swallowed hard. No, I was scared, angry. I didn't mean for it to go this far. But you intended for Christine to leave with nothing? I didn't know what else to do. The attorney turned to the judge once more. Your Honor, this is no longer speculation. Robyn Brown has confessed to financial manipulation, deceit, and withholding marital assets. We are requesting full restitution and a civil fraud investigation. The word fraud thundered across the room like a cannon blast. Robyn collapsed back into her seat, silent tears now streaming. She reached for Kody's hand. He didn't move. He didn't even look at her. The shift had begun. Christine turned to her lawyer. She admitted it. That's enough, right? Her lawyer nodded slowly. It's not just enough. It changes everything. Suddenly, from the back of the courtroom, another figure stood. The room turned. It was Leon, Mary, and Kody's only child, silent until now. They stepped forward, holding a folder. "Your Honor," Leon said clearly, "I would like to be heard." Judge Madison raised a brow. "Name? Leon Brown. What do you have to present?" "These are bank records that back up Gwen's testimony, and more. Kody didn't just move funds. He used my mother's name to open a line of credit without her consent." The judge's eyes narrowed. "Is that true, Mr. Brown?" For the first time all day, Kody lifted his head. His eyes were bloodshot, filled with rage, not regret. His voice cracked like a whip. "You all turned on me. You want a villain? Fine. I kept this family afloat. I gave everything. This..." He gestured around the courtroom. "This circus is betrayal, not justice." The judge slammed the gavel down. "Enough. This court will remain in order." But order was already lost. Kody Brown was now a man alone. His wives were distant. His children were stepping into the light. And every person in that courtroom saw him now, not as the patriarch, not as the provider, but as the center of a crumbling empire. Judge Madison leaned forward. "Mr. Brown, you've been implicated repeatedly today. Would you like to make a formal statement or testify?" The room held its breath. Kody didn't move right away. His hands remained clenched on either side of the table, fists shaking. Then slowly he stood, his jaw set, his body trembling, and then he growled through clenched teeth. "Yeah, I've got something to say." The courtroom sat in eerie silence, the kind that only follows a complete and total collapse of pretense. Gwen's testimony had already shaken the walls, but what came next tore through whatever fragile image Kody had built over decades. The judge had barely returned to the bench when Christine's attorney rose once more. This time, it wasn't about money or custody. It was about uncovering years of secrets, locked away in LLCs, obscure accounts, and whispered conversations. The request was clear: unseal the financial records tied to Kody and Robyn. As the judge considered the motion, Robyn's fingers twitched nervously in her lap, her once smug smile now nowhere in sight. Kody didn't look at her. His jaw was clenched, eyes narrowed, and for the first time, there was a glimmer of fear behind all that bravado. When the motion was approved, a hush fell like a hammer. Christine turned to Gwen with a small nod. What they had fought for, the truth, was finally dragging itself into daylight. The documents were presented, and the room turned into a pressure cooker. LLCs registered under children's names, money siphoned to Robyn's online jewelry boutique, even payments sent from TLC not equally divided but funneled into a private account. Christine looked down at her hands, her lips pressed tightly together. The betrayal cut deeper than she had imagined. Robyn had not just replaced her in Kody's heart. She had slowly erased her children from the financial future of the family. The judge's tone sharpened. "Can you confirm that this account was opened under Aurora Brown's name?" he asked, looking directly at Robyn. She hesitated. Everyone could see the pause, the flicker in her eyes as she searched for an excuse. Yes, she whispered. But it was meant to protect the children. Christine stood now, voice trembling with fury. "You mean protect your children, while mine were left scrambling to pay rent?" The room gasped. Janelle, sitting beside Savannah, shook her head in disbelief. "I trusted you," she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. The cracks were now fractures, spreading across the foundation of what had once been a family. And then came the most shocking twist. Gwen had submitted a USB drive, previously unmentioned, containing voice recordings of conversations between Kody and Robyn. These weren't just phone calls. They were intimate, strategic sessions where the two plotted how to manipulate contracts, spin PR stories, and even pressure Christine into giving up her claim to Coyote Pass. When the recordings played, Kody turned pale. His voice, once booming and authoritative, now echoed back at him like a confession. "Just get her to sign off," one recording played. "Promise her whatever you have to. Once she's out, it's ours." Christine's shoulders shook, and Mary, from the far side of the courtroom, simply closed her eyes. Robyn couldn't hold her composure anymore. She buried her face in her hands as the judge demanded an explanation. Were these recordings fabricated? No, she sobbed. But it wasn't meant to sound like that. It was just survival. The judge responded coldly, "That may be, but it's also fraud." And just like that, the gavel came down. An emergency investigation into Robyn and Kody's financial dealings was launched, and their accounts were frozen effective immediately. The courtroom erupted, not in cheers, but in stunned silence. Kody stood motionless while Robyn collapsed into her chair, mascara streaking her cheeks, her empire crumbling beneath her feet. Outside the courtroom, Gwen stood in the sun, Christine beside her. Reporters swarmed, but neither spoke. They didn't have to. The world had heard enough. What once was buried, secrets, deceit, manipulation, was now laid bare. The Brown family wasn't just broken. It had been exposed. And for the first time in a long time, the ones who had been silenced were finally heard.